As the last few days of 2023 cling to us like the remains of a Boxing Day hangover, it is of course at that time of year where I ask you to join me in celebrating the winners and the losers in the electric car world as we present them with the prestigious AutoEV Awards. So, without further ado, please grab yourself a glass of something special. Make yourself comfortable as I say welcome to the 2023 awards, and as if it needs to be said, welcome to AutoEV. Now, before we go on with the 2023 AutoEV Awards, it is of course that time when I'm going to ask you to make sure that you are subscribed to the AutoEV channel. Then once you've done that, please press the little bell button down below, because then that way you'll get a notification if our next video is uploaded and has gone live. Once you've watched it, if you do enjoy it, then make sure you give it a thumbs up, and of course don't forget, leave us your thoughts down in the comments below. Let me know if you agree with our winners and losers in this year's awards. Now, before we get started, I wanted to give you a little bit of a brief as to how AutoEV has performed in 2023, because it's because of you guys out there that we're able to do these things. And the AutoEV Awards have now become a recognisable industry standard, with many manufacturers, their PR departments and press departments, watching to see whether or not their cars have made the grade as far as we're concerned this year. And that's down to you. Now, this year AutoEV grew quite substantially. We achieved 1.2 million views across the globe in 2023. Over 200,000 hours of watch time on the channel. That's the equivalent of 8,333 continuous days of me prattling on about electric cars. And our subscriber base grew by 60%. Our UK audience increased by over 100,000 views alone. So if you're one of the people that was out there that pressed the subscribe button this year, or you liked it, or you commented, whether it was good or bad, but at least you watched it, thank you very much from the bottom of all of our hearts, from myself and my colleagues Rod and Charlie, because without you, AutoEV doesn't exist. But now, we're going to make a start with the awards of 2023. Now, the first category that we're going to cover is the Best Commuter EV. And this is a category where we look at cars that don't necessarily put driving dynamics, outright range or charging capabilities ahead of their ease of use and their practicality for getting you round about those sort of like urban areas. It's been won in the past by cars such as the Honda E, and of course last year it was an electric motorbike, the Mavic RM1, that took top honours in this category. This year we didn't test any electric motorbikes, so it is down to the cars to fight it out for class honours here. And in third place is not just a new car to the UK, but a new manufacturer to the UK, and that is BYD with their Dolphin. Now, this is a C-sector hatchback, so it's going to compete with things such as the Volkswagen ID3, the MG4, and of course Renault Megane E-Tech. And whilst it doesn't take class honours in that C-sector hatch section, what it does do is provide a huge amount of versatility and practicality in quite a compact footprint. Not only that, but it was its ease of use and low starting price of just £26,000 that impressed us when we tested the car earlier this year. As I say, whilst it's not the best car in its class, it does make an awful lot of sense for people that are maybe looking at a smaller commuter car with the added practicality of 5 doors for getting them round about the city environment. In second place comes a real little firecracker that I tested earlier this year. And it's based on a car that's done quite well in AutoEV Awards in the past. And that is, of course, it's the Abarth 500e. Now, it's not a value for money package, don't get me wrong. It is quite expensive for what it does. And as I say, its outright range isn't particularly impressive. But what is impressive is that it takes all the attributes that we loved about the Fiat 500e, its compact size, its ease of use, its cheeky little charm, and then adds to that great performance and a style that just won't quit. Not to mention the fact that you can also have it as a convertible, and that was a car that really, really stole our hearts. But it does take second place to a car that I think is probably going to take you a little bit by surprise, because in first place, in the best commuter EV we tested this year, is Jeep's Avenger. Now, the Jeep Avenger doesn't bring anything particularly new to the EV marketplace, except for the fact that it's a Jeep. They're more used to sort of the rugged wilderness rather than the urban jungle. However, what Jeep have done is they've taken all the attributes that they know and love and can do with their big SUVs and bring it down into a size where people actually can have an SUV that is right-sized for the city. Bear in mind, this is a car that is no bigger than a Peugeot 208 or Vauxhall Corsa, a car that it shares its platform with. But it's rugged versatility, it's easy to drive, it's practical, not to mention the fact that we think it's a real stylish little car. And as I say, it lays the foundations for Jeep, a very sort of like old and sort of like legacy manufacturer, to build on their electric future as part of the Stellantis group. And we think you've got yourself an absolute winner of a car there. So, in third place, the BYD Dolphin. In second, the Abarth 500e. But taking top honours in the best commuter EV is the new Jeep Avenger. Now we get to our best compact family car. Now there's a price cap of £40,000 in this category. In other words, the range has to start under that £40,000 bracket for it to be considered. Last year it was famously taken by the Renault Megane E-Tech, which then went on to also take the gong in the Viewer's Choice and the overall AutoEV Car of the Year award. But of course, that was last year. This year, we need to consider some newcomers. And of course, there was some newcomers in the shape of the new Peugeot E308 and its sibling from Vauxhall, the Astra Electric. And whilst good in a lot of areas, they didn't quite make the grade for us in terms of the fact that they are a multi-energy platform, and therefore they do carry some compromises because, of course, they've got to be engineered to be with internal combustion engines as well. And as I say, whilst good, they weren't quite good enough. MG expanded its MG4 range to include the scintillating MG4 X-Power, a car with supercar slaying performance and a great value for money starting price and a sort of like a wolf in sheep's clothing sort of package. And we love the MG4, it's a great car, but we didn't feel the X-Power really was the best choice. But they also included the new extended range car, which was for those of you who prefer your miles more than smiles, with a bigger battery and a much bigger range. And we feel that could be the pick of the MG4 range. We also saw some heavily revised cars come into the market as well, such as the new Peugeot E2008. And it's a car that competes in that small compact B segment crossovers that sort of like takes the third place here, and that's the excellent BYD Atto 3, a direct competitor for the still excellent MG ZS. This was BYD's first entrant into the UK, and we think that it offers a fantastic blend of practicality, ease of use, good to drive, not to mention value for money that most families looking for a car in this category will put above anything else. But it wasn't quite good enough to take second place, because that goes to Hyundai's brilliant new Kona, a car that we preferred to the Peugeot E2008 in a twin test that we did just a couple of months ago. Now, Hyundai is on the ascent in the EV market. We know how good the Ioniq 5 and the Ioniq 6 has been for them. And the Kona was almost a slightly forgotten about car, but it was still excellent in its old guise, if not quite perfect. Hyundai literally started again, and whilst it's not part of its Ioniq range, because again, it's a multi-energy platform, it felt like they had engineered it to be an electric car first, rather than sort of like an internal combustion engine car then being converted to electric power. So in the way that it drove and the way that it delivered all of the things that we love about electric vehicles, the Kona was the one that took us by surprise, and it gets second place. But coming in first place, again, is a car that might surprise you because it's from a brand who has literally just reinvented itself. Now, whether you feel this reinvention is for the better or for the worse will depend obviously on your viewpoint of their older cars. But as far as we are concerned, the new Smart #1 is the best electric vehicle available under that £40,000 bracket that was launched in 2023. In fact, the only flaws we could really find with it is its slightly smaller boot and the fact that the infotainment system is a little bit confusing at first, but once you get used to it, you soon do. It's a car that combines great style, fantastic build quality, not to mention a great driving experience as well, along with a practical sort of like 5-door compact SUV body style. We think that's going to be a real winner for us. And of course, next year we hope to drive the Smart #1 Brabus and of course the new #3. So, in the Best Compact Family Awards for 2023, in third place, we have the rather fantastic BYD Atto 3, the even better Hyundai Kona, but taking top honours is the best, the Smart #1. Well done all. Now, our next award is a very fiercely competitive one. It's the Best Mid-Size Family EV Award. Now, like the previous category, we price cap this at £55,000, which means that there is a huge amount of choice in this market space. And this is where manufacturers have been really sort of like coming strong into this particular with their kind of compact crossovers, SUV style of cars. Now, if you're a regular viewer of AutoEV and our awards, you will know that we can only include cars that we actually drive. We don't just include the cars that we feature on the channel. We've physically got to drive them because that, we feel, is the best way to then either crown these cars with an award or not, because we've driven them and we've experienced them. Which meant that last year there was a few cars that fell out of the awards in 2022, even though some channels had driven them, we hadn't. There was the Toyota BZ4X and of course its cousin from Subaru, the Solterra, because whilst we had the cars booked and we were going to include them in last year's awards, there was the whole wheel hub scenario and those test cars had to be cancelled. But we got to drive them in 2023, so they were being considered in this year's award. But in third place is a car that we did actually drive last year, and we did actually in 2022, and we did actually give it an award in 2023, but it slips from second place to third place because we tested it again this year, and whilst we do really like it, there are other cars we do prefer it, and that's the BMW iX1. BMW's electric cars, we've really seen BMW come to the fore with a lot of their electric cars, and whilst the i3 was the real innovative one, their latest offerings have always impressed us because they drive like BMWs, and of course the iX1 is no different. But it has to give second place to one of the cars that we tested it against, and that was in our triple test against the Tesla Model Y and our second place choice, which is the Volvo XC40 Recharge. Now again, not exactly a new car, but it's Volvo's best-selling car in the UK, the XC40, and again, by electrifying it, we just feel that Volvo have really captured the essence of what families in this sort of bracket are looking for. It's stylish, it's practical, it's easy to drive. Okay, yes, its performance lags behind the BMW and the Tesla Model Y, but for us, we will trade that for the style and sort of like the build quality and everything else that the Volvo embodies in that car. So second place goes to the little XC40 Recharge. But first place in this category goes to a car that we tested right back at the beginning of 2023. And it was one of those cars that we should have tested in 2022, but time got away from us. And that is Nissan's brilliant Ariya. Now, Nissan, a bit like BMW, were one of the first onto the market with their EVs way back with the original Leaf, but then tended to kind of sit back and not give us anything new. And it rather concerned us because whilst we saw other Japanese manufacturers come to the electric marketplace and flounder, we thought, what's going to happen with Nissan? Well, of course, we had nothing to worry about because the Ariya is phenomenal to drive. It does share its platform with the brilliant Renault Megane E-Tech, of course, with the Renault and Nissan alliance. But it still feels different enough, and it's that mid-size sort of like SUV up to £55,000 that offers a brilliant drive, fantastic comfort, brilliant refinement, a decent range, and great practicality. So, To recap, in third place, it is the BMW iX1. In second place, the Volvo XC40 Recharge. And taking the gold, it's the Nissan Ariya. Well done, Nissan. This next category was without doubt the hardest one for us to judge, and that's simply because there was a single car that came into this market space that didn't impress us, and that is the best EV saloon. We had cars such as the new Mercedes-Benz EQE, a very worthy stablemate to its larger EQS sibling. And then of course we had new entrants from Hyundai with the Ioniq 6 and of course BYD with the Seal. And in some respects, those last two cars I do prefer to the car that we've put in third place, which is the newly revised Tesla Model 3. But the reason that we're giving third place to the Tesla is because we really feel that Tesla have addressed all of the failings and shortcomings we felt were there with the older Model 3, a car which, remember, we declared was a game changer back in 2019 when we first drove it, but had fallen behind its competitors in a lot of ways as far as we were concerned. But Tesla have taken the bull by the horns and addressed all of those issues that we had with the car and turned it into a car that fights it out for top honours in its class. So Tesla Model 3 takes our third spot. And the reason it takes the third spot is because it has to give way to the car that we still feel betters it in its class, because that car again went through a major restyle this year, and that's Polestar's 2. It switched from front wheel drive to rear wheel drive for better dynamics. There was new technology added to the car, and there was minimal styling changes to it, leaving a car that we felt still turns our heads more than any other car in its class. So the Polestar 2 takes second place. And it gives way to a car that I absolutely fell in love with. I spent 2 weeks driving this car around and absolutely fell in love with it. And that is the new BMW i5. Now, what BMW have done with this car is, in my opinion, simply incredible, because whilst the 5 Series is going to be available with internal combustion engines as well, it feels like it's been designed as an electric car from day one. However, it feels like it's been designed as an electric BMW, and that's more important. It's an analog driving experience, which is going to absolutely appeal to all of those drivers out there who have loved BMW's dynamics over the years. But there's so much more and new technology added to it that it's going to appeal to all the geeks out there too. Couple that with the fact that it's probably BMW's best looking car that they've done for a number of years now, and the fact that it's also going to be available in a touring body style soon. It's no wonder I said it's probably the most complete car that's currently on sale. So in the fiercely competitive and brilliant saloon category, we've got third place going to the newly revised Tesla Model 3. In second place, our old favourite, the Polestar 2. And in first place, the brilliant BMW i5. Well done all. Now, our next category is the best luxury EV. Now, this isn't price or even class driven. It's pure and simply about the car that makes you feel special when you drive it. So it could be a very luxurious version of a Fiat 500e that could take top honours here. It doesn't. I'll make that clear right now, because in third place is a car that I think is going to surprise you a little bit, and it's the Jaguar I-Pace. Now, the reason that we've put the Jaguar I-Pace in third place in this best luxury EV category is pure and simple. I took the car up to Scotland again earlier this year to kind of re-evaluate the I-Pace to see whether or not it was still as good a car as we thought it always was. And by doing that kind of journey in the car, it made me realise exactly what the brand of Jaguar is now becoming, because bear in mind, from 2025, Jaguar are reinventing themselves as this very high-end luxury EV brand. Now, whilst we haven't seen a lot of evidence of what they're doing in terms of spy shots of new models or even rumours of what's coming out, if they can build on what they've done with the I-Pace, then I think their future is going to look bright for the Coventry firm. There is a car that, in my opinion, best embodies their old mantra of grace, space and pace. And I don't think there is any car that does it better than the I-Pace. I think it's Jaguar's best looking car since the E-Type. I think it's practical and comfortable enough for anybody, whether you're a driver or being driven in it. And not to mention the fact that it has the the adaptability. It doesn't feel like an SUV, even though the Jaguar market it as such. It just feels like a real comfortably fast and agile sports hatch, and a very luxurious one at that. So in third place, it's the Jaguar I-Pace. In second place is a car that sort of surprised me a little bit because I was kind of a bit puzzled as to the point of it. Now, bear with me on this one as well. Last year, this category was won by the Mercedes-Benz EQS, and it's the Mercedes-AMG EQS 53 that takes the second place this year. Now, we test drove a lot of these performance EVs this year, and there was quite a few of them that I kind of went away thinking, they're good, but they're not the best in their range. And there was an element of that with the EQS AMG 53. I don't think I would personally buy the car over a standard EQS. However, because the standard EQS is such a good car, the AMG model just adds a different facet onto it. One place where it does improve on is its brakes, because obviously you can have the car with the carbon ceramic brakes. So that is one area we always criticise the EQS for, whereas now with the AMG model it's got a lot better. So as I say, whilst it might puzzle me, the EQS AMG 53, there's no denying that it is an absolutely exceptional car. However, it isn't as good as our first place winner, and I had a funny feeling this car was going to be the one that took top honours here, even at last year's awards, and that is the BMW i7. Now, I simply haven't driven a more luxurious car that didn't wear a Rolls-Royce or a Bentley badge than this new BMW i7. Whilst it might not have the looks that everybody would particularly want, trust me when I say this, when you get behind the wheel and you cover the first few yards, you will get this car, and you will get it and then some, because it is fast, it is comfortable, it's refined, it's brilliant to drive, it's absolutely loaded with new technology. It's simply the best 7 Series that BMW have come out with, and I don't see the point in buying one with an internal combustion engine now. And I have driven a 7 Series with an internal combustion engine this year, and trust me when I say it, you'll want the i7. So, best luxury EV category this year. In third place we have the vulnerable and pensionable Jaguar I-Pace. In second place the Mercedes AMG EQS 53, and taking top spot comprehensively is the new BMW i7. Well done everyone. Now our next category is the money no object category, and this is a bit like the luxury EV category. In other words, it's not class or price driven. It's pure and simply driven by the fact of what car did we not want to hand the keys back to? In other words, what car would we get up on a Sunday morning 2 hours before everyone else is awake in the house, grab the keys for and go for a drive? In other words, the car that made us smile. And the car that made me smile in third place is the Abarth 500e. Now, what Abarth have done with this car, and this is a really important distinction to make, it's Abarth, not Fiat. They've taken a Fiat 500e, a brilliant small electric city car, and turned it into a proper hot hatch and a Abarth, which is exactly what they used to do with the internal combustion engine cars. Okay, it's got a bit of a naff kind of synthesised exhaust note. It's not particularly great value for money, nor is it particularly big inside, but none of that really matters, because as soon as you start driving this little firecracker, you start to realise that what they have done is they have electrified an Abarth, and for us that's all that matters. In second place is a car that I was really quite taken with. In fact, so taken with it was I wanted to make sure that I put it to the proper test. And the only way to do that was to stick it on my favourite driving road, which just happens to be 350 miles away up in Scotland. Now again, it was nothing to do with its sort of like outright performance. It was not to do with its 0 to 60 times or how fast it could go around the Nürburgring or anything like that. But it was more to do with its chassis dynamics and what they had done with the car by tuning springs and damper rates and steering feel. And that was Polestar with the BST 270. Now, the Polestar 2 is a great car. We love it here at AutoEV, and we really love everything that Polestar do. But what this car was about was taking sort of like letting their engineers off the leash a little bit and sort of like saying, don't worry too much about absolute outright performance, but make a car that's there for the driver. A car, in other words, that you'll go seeking out that particularly twisty road just to take it down. And that's what they did. And boy, did they do it. They hit the nail on the absolute head. The blend of poise, sort of like chassis dynamics, the stability, everything about that car, I thought was absolutely brilliant. And this year, I was fortunate enough to spend some time with the chassis engineer, Joachim, from Polestar, who designed the BST 270 chassis, and get a real sort of like insight into what they had done and how they had done it. And then of course I got the keys to the car and took it to Scotland and realised that everything they had done just worked brilliantly. So in second place, it is the Polestar 2 BST 270. But taking first place is a car that, well, it's a car that, again, a bit like when we had the Jaguar in the last category, it's not exactly a new car, but it was the first time that I had actually driven it. And because I had the car, it landed with me over a period of time where I had to do quite a big journey in quite a short space of time, so therefore had to take this car. And that is Audi's RS e-tron GT. In other words, I had a weekend to get to Scotland and back in. And of course, it was the perfect car to do that in. But I hadn't realised how perfect it was going to be. Yes, it's based on previous winners, the Porsche Taycan's platform, the J1 platform, but don't think for it, it's just a Taycan with an Audi badge on it, because it's not. What Audi have done is they've tuned this car to be a proper Grand Tourer. In fact, so well have they done with that that I consider it to be the finest GT car in the world. And bear in mind, that will include things such as Aston Martins, Bentleys, Porsches, Ferraris as well. I don't think anyone else has got the blend of practicality, comfort, outright speed and chassis dynamics as well as that e-tron RS GT. It simply blew my mind with it, and I really almost shed a tear when I had to hand that car back to the Audi press department at Milton Keynes this year. So, third place, the brilliant little firecracker that is the Abarth 500e. In second place, the superb Polestar 2 BST 270. But taking class honours is Audi with its RS e-tron GT. Now we get to possibly our most controversial category in the awards, and that's why I need a good stiff drink with me while we're dishing this one out. And that is our most disappointing EV of the year. Now, one thing that we've always been proud of at AutoEV is that we tell it like it is. We like our brutal honesty, and we hope that you do too, because what we realise is that you guys are the public that's out there buying these cars, and therefore we've got to tell you like it is. So if something's not very good, we need to let you know. And maybe that opinion might upset people, and maybe upset some manufacturers, but for us, it's what we've always done, it's what we're good at, and it's what we want to stick to doing. So whilst, as I say, some people might be disappointed with the winners, or should that be losers, in this category, we hope you understand why they've been chosen. Now, the third place car in this category is the new Vauxhall Corsa Electric. Now, there's nothing particularly wrong with the Vauxhall Corsa. It's a good little car. It's perfectly pleasant to drive. It offers, good equipment levels. It's relatively nice looking, and of course, it's from a familiar brand such as Vauxhall. But we have to not confuse ability with familiarity here. And where we feel that the Corsa really falls down is it's in its market positioning. In other words, its price, because in top spec form, it's knocking on the door of £40,000. Even in mid-spec form, you can buy cars such as a good spec Jeep Avenger, a car which shares its platform with the Corsa, remember, but does it so much better in our opinion. Not to mention MG's excellent 4, and of course BYD's Dolphin, which starts at £10,000 less, as does the MG, than the mid-spec Corsa. And these are cars from the category above. So whilst it might be Britain's best-selling car, it might be Britain's best-selling B-segment electric super mini, for us it's our third most disappointing car this year, purely down to the cost of it. In second place, however, is a car from a manufacturer that really sort of surprised me in the fact that it was such a sort of humdrum experience. And that's Honda with the new ENY1. Now, of course, we know Honda can produce brilliant cars. The little Honda E's been an AutoEV Award winner in the past. But the Honda E was a real sort of like little style icon. It put style and sort of like cuteness and everything, ability in the urban sort of like environment above everything else. So whilst it wasn't good value for money, it offered an awful lot more in its packaging. Whereas the Honda ENY1 doesn't really. It feels like it's just playing a little bit of catch up in this class of car. It does nothing particularly outstandingly well. And for us, that was really disappointing, especially from a car wearing the Honda badge. Bear in mind, this is a manufacturer who's won countless Formula One touring car awards, trophies over the years. It's given us technology such as VTEC engines, four-wheel steering, all of that kind of thing. But here's like a B-segment SUV crossover starting at £10,000 more than its competitors, and it's just okay to drive. For us, that's a real disappointment. Now, Honda say that the platform that the ENY1 is based on is going to underpin 10 new models over the next coming few years from them. So let's just hope that they pull their socks up and deliver something a little bit better than they've given us so far. But taking class owners, class disowners, I don't know how you'd put it, is a car that I feel that shouldn't really be here in some respects, because there was a lot that I really liked about this car. I love the way it looked. I quite liked the way that it drove in terms of its refinement and its performance and its comfort. But it came with one glaring flaw that I just can't overlook. And that car is the Lexus RZ450e. Now, it's based on the same platform that the Toyota BZ4X and the Subaru Solterra is based on, and therefore, dare I suggest, it shares the same flaw as these cars, and that is its poor efficiency. Here is a car that I struggle to get 200 miles out of, and whilst and the reason I've chosen the Lexus over the Toyota and the Subaru for this is because Lexus charges £75,000 for this privilege. Now, I took the car to Scotland. Now, normally when I go to Scotland, at the most, even with my little Renault Megane E-Tech, I'm charging 3 times. I can do it on 2 charges. I needed 4 charges with the Lexus. Such was its poor efficiency. It's simply just not good enough. And bear in mind, this is from a brand that has been beating the electrified drum for decades now with its hybrid technology. So why is it so late to the EV party? And when it does arrive, why is it delivered as such a poor showing? And whilst, as I say, we could lay the blame at Toyota's door with the BZ4X, bearing in mind, as I say, Lexus charges £75,000 for it, which puts it in line with some exceptional competition that do the job much, much better. So, our third most disappointing car of 2023 is the Vauxhall Corsa Electric. Our second most disappointing car is the Honda ENY1. But taking class dishonours here, this year, is the Lexus RZ450e. Sorry. I forgot to say, I hope everyone had a good Christmas and that you're looking forward to 2024. We are here at AutoEV. There's lots of new stuff in the pipeline, so make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss any of that, because that's coming very, very soon. Right, let's move on. Next category. Well, it was a new category last year, and it's the AutoEV Innovation Award. Now, this is something that we give to a product or a manufacturer that shows how something can be done in a different and, dare I suggest, better way. Last year's winner was the Citroen Ollie concept, a great little concept car. And Citroen basically understood that electric cars were quite expensive, and they wanted to see how they could maybe make them a little bit cheaper. And they realised to make them cheaper for people to buy, you have to make them cheaper to build. So it looked at innovative materials, sustainability and recycling and that type of thing, and put it together into an actual model of a car. Now, we're going to see evidence of the Ollie concept in next year's EC3, the new Citroen EC3, and that is a car I'm really looking forward to driving, because that, in terms of its price point, is going to be quite an eye-opener. But this year's award goes to a manufacturer that's really, really looking hard at how they build cars. And not just how they build cars, but how they take a car from concept to delivery to customers. Now, here at AutoEV, we don't really bang on the ecological drum that much, but all 3 of us, both myself, Rod and Charlie, are parents. We all have kids, and we want the world to be a better place for our children, of course, as most people do. And whilst we know the electric car isn't going to save the world, it's going to help it. And that's why we were really impressed by what this manufacturer is doing. In other words, it's taking every single facet of its car production and really, really analysing it and producing a report on every single model that it builds, called an LCA, a life cycle assessment. And that takes into account the materials that they use, to the logistics of getting those materials to the factory, to the way the car is actually built, things like the behaviour of the staff, the way the plant is run, and then obviously then the distribution of the cars to the customers at the end of that. And they're planning on, by 2030, producing their first carbon neutral car, which is a phenomenal task, because the cost, the CO2 cost of producing a single car is quite high. Yet over the past 12 months, with a new model they're about to launch, they've managed to almost reduce it by a ton so far, and they're getting much, much better at it. So the winner of the 2023 AutoEV Innovation Award goes to Polestar Cars. Thank you, guys. Thank you for everything that you're doing. And thank you for making the world just that little bit better for all of us. And now we get to our penultimate award. And of course, like the last one, it was a new category that we introduced into our 2022 awards. And that is the AutoEV Viewers' Choice Award. In other words, we've got nothing to do with this. What we do is give you a list of cars and you guys vote for what's your favourite on our social media channels. It's all across Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all of that kind of place, LinkedIn, and you guys choose which car you think is the most deserving of a top award in 2023. This year, it was another new car onto the market and from that new manufacturer. Taking the top spot with over 50% of the votes was the excellent BYD Seal. Now, this car I went up to the Lake District to drive in Cockermouth at the brilliant M Sport facility, and it was a streaming wet day. It was a horrible day up there, but so sure-footed was this car and so brilliant to drive. I really did have a hard choice, sort of like, you know, coming back thinking, would I prefer a Polestar 2 or a Tesla Model 3 and all that kind of thing. It's a brilliant product. As I say, it was BYD's third product launch in the UK in 2023, and by far it is their best. And that's not just us saying so, that's from you guys. So well done BYD, because the Seal takes the 2023 AutoEV Viewers' Choice Award. 2023 has been an exceptional year for us here at AutoEV. As I say, we've produced 52 videos with 52 electric vehicles across the last 12 months. We've been watched 1.2 million times across the world, which is simply a mind-boggling stat for me. Now, whilst we are still very small in terms of this YouTube space when it comes to car review channels, the fact that this is now the third year that we've done these AutoEV Awards and they're now being recognised by the industry is something quite special to us. So thank you very much for all the time you've taken to tune into the channel and taking the time to vote in things like the viewer's choice and every single comment you've made, because it really does make a difference. Now, on to the big one. This is it. What's going to take the top honours in the 2023 AutoEV Awards? Well, let's be honest, there's been some great cars this year. And as I say, there's been a lot of cars to choose from. There's been some really interesting stuff that's come out this year that we've managed to get behind the wheel of. And there's been some real surprises in all of that as well. And in third space is a car that has already won plenty of awards. And whilst it is a category winner with us, it does miss out on the top spot. But that is Jeep's new Avenger. Now, whilst this isn't a bespoke EV platform and it's not bringing anything really innovative into the market space, what it meant for us was it was something really different from a brand like Jeep. It was their first electric car, and a brand like a legacy manufacturer that, let's be honest, up until now has been giving us products that maybe are a little bit out of touch with where the world is, for them to actually take notice of the world and jump into the world of electrification to make sure the brand has a good sustainable future is really commendable. Not just that, but the Avenger for us was the right product, the right size, the right price for its intended market. But it still embodies all the virtues and attributes that makes a Jeep, and it still has a huge amount of heritage behind it. But ultimately, it misses out on top spot, as does our second place car. Another car from a manufacturer that really surprised us this year, because it was a complete reinvention of itself, and that was Smart with the Hashtag 1. Now, when I road tested the Hashtag 1 back in the middle of the year, I did sort of like say then, whilst it didn't take class honours, it came surprisingly close to doing so. It's great to drive, it's great, its build quality is phenomenal, it's got good practicality despite a slightly small boot, its interior space is very good, and I say it's quite sort of like, it's just a fun car to drive, and as I say, it's a reinvention of the Smart brand. Now, it's not Smart as we once knew, and to view Smart in the same sort of breath as you might view Kia or Vauxhall or or Peugeot or Citroen is going to take some time to get used to. But trust me, this is a car you really need to take notice of, because it is exceptionally good. Now, it's based on the same platform as the Volvo EX30, because Smart is now a joint venture between Mercedes-Benz and Geely. And whilst there are certain things about the Volvo that, in terms of maybe the way it looks, and maybe some of the other stuff that we might have preferred, we didn't get to drive the Volvo EX30 in 2023. But if it's anywhere near as good as the Smart is, then obviously 2024, it's going to be vying for top honours. But in second place for us this year is the Smart #1. But now we get to the big one. And this year's Car of the Year award goes to a car, dare I suggest, whose badge is maybe showing its age, because like me, it's past 50. It's 51 years old. But what the manufacturer of this car have done is they've sort of like brought this new model out with this badge, and they've hit the right sort of like spot in the marketplace, and they've gauged the temperature absolutely right, because the winner of the ultimate award is the ultimate driving machine, and it is the new BMW i5. The 5 Series is a car that has always been sort of like probably one of the jewels in BMW's crown, and it was really, really important that when they moved the 5 Series into the electric age, that they understood where that the 5 Series had come from and the type of customer that would have bought the car. In other words, it was more of the sort of like the driver's choice within that category of car. And how do you make a large electric executive saloon a driver's car? Well, trust me, having spent 2 weeks driving the car around, BMW have done that and then some. So the top spot, the AutoEV Car of the Year in 2023 is the new BMW i5. Well done, BMW. You knocked it out of the park with that one. And so, that brings a close to the AutoEV Awards of 2023. Well done to all our category winners, and of course, well done to BMW for taking the top spot with their brilliant new i5. It really is a cracking car. Thank you, by the way, if you voted in the Viewer's Choice this year in our social media platforms. It's a really important thing that we engage with you guys to make sure that you guys have your say in what we do as well. So thank you if you've taken the time to do that. Now, if you thought we were busy in 2023, you've got no idea how busy we're going to be in 2024, because already for January, we've already got road tests of the new Mercedes-Benz EQE SUV, the Kia EV9 and Volkswagen ID7, not to mention a triple test of all-electric family hatchbacks. And of course, we're hoping to see plenty more new models come out as well. And we're going to be hopefully returning to the Geneva Motor Show to bring you all the latest and greatest from there, not to mention things like the new Renault 5, the Polestar 4, the Polestar 3, and the new Mini Electric. So make sure that you are subscribed to the AutoEV channel, and then once you've done that, press the little bell button down below, because when a new video goes live and gets uploaded, you won't miss out then. Once you've watched the video, if you do enjoy it, if you've enjoyed this one, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and as I say, don't forget, leave us your comments down below. Let me know what your thoughts are on our category winners this year, and of course the Car of the Year. Do you agree with us? Do you not agree with us? What would you have put in the top spot? Let me know your thoughts down below. Now, as I say, 2023 was a great year for the channel here, but we are still growing, and we can't do that without you. And as I say, every single time you watch a video, every single time you press the bell button, every single time you press a like, or every single comment you leave is really, really important to us. So thank you if you're one of the people who have supported us. On behalf of Rod, Charlie and myself, we hope that you and your families have had a really good Christmas, and we hope you're really looking forward to a good 2024, because I know that we certainly are as well. From the bottom of our hearts, thank you for all the support you give us. We'll see you again soon.